Alright guys, so today we've got a full service on the Evo 10. It's a manual, it's done 30,000 miles, so it's a real nice clean car. So yeah, we'll show you through the process. So I've been out on a test drive just to check for any knocks, bangs, warning lights, that sort of thing. We're pretty used to these now, so we know the common issues. So first things first, checking the job card, checking if there's any known issues with it already, and then I'll just go through the parts I need for the service, go up, grab them first, and then we'll get the car on the ramp. So first things first, I'll have a little walk around the car, check all the lights work, check windscreen for damage, wipers, etc.
Yeah, off, on, yeah, off, on, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 off, no. Yeah, yeah. No.
Check with seatbelt. So up here's where we keep all our stock. Evo 10 air filter, one of those. Evo 10 oil filter, one of those. Might need spark plugs, but we'll check them, make sure they're good. If not, then we'll be back up. So I'm just checking the coolant just to make sure what level it's going to freeze at. That one's really good, so it's as strong as it can be. So you've seen me just test the coolant. So the amount of floating discs show the degree of protection. So all the way down to minus 37, which is what this one is. So that's as good as it's going to get. It's not going to get that cold here. So I'm going to just test the brake fluid. This little contraption here. It just measures the moisture levels in the brake fluid. So you can see it's okay. It's okay. I'll probably recommend swapping it next service. Topping up the screen wash. That's about all I'm going to say about that one.
Always check the vacuum line.
Vacuum lines.
This one here is the main one that always fails. Give it a big old tug.
Don't tug too hard on your pipe though. General look around, yeah. Checking wiring, checking vacuum lines, hoses, leaks, anything that looks untoward, just making sure there isn't anything.
Have to come to you, okay.
So we're going to drain the oil. Evo 10 17mm sump bolt. If you look really closely, there's signs of a rogue technician. I believe Ray uses a pink paint pen.
Yeah, correct.
Now watch me, this is when I'll spill it all over myself.
There's oil filters in there.
I'm going to go grab the all the washers that we need for all the drain plugs and fill plug. Genuine Mitsubishi oil filter. We like to use the genuine parts. They're nice because they come already pre-oiled. Don't have to worry about that. So we'll whip this one off and pop that one on.
I didn't know that, geez.
So this is a manual Evo 10, so we're just going to drain the oil from the gearbox. On the SSTs, you have to fill them from the top, so it's a little bit more difficult. So I'm just going to paint mark any bolt, any sump plug that I take off, just to know I've tightened it personally, and it's good for us just as a reference point to go back to. We know if anything loosens off, etc. Next up the front is a transfer bolt. Pull the oil straight out of that. So I'm just taking out the fill bung. It just helps the oil flow out easier. You'll probably see it change when I pull it out, like that. So I'm just going to drain the rear diff and the rear AYC. So the one furthest to the back, here's your AYC fluid, which is a red colour. So this is the rear diff. Yummy. Quite an important thing. Drain plugs for rear diff and AYC. The AYC has a longer magnet. Rear diff doesn't. Sorry, wrong one. Rear diff doesn't. It has a smaller magnet. If you put the long one in the diff, you're going to hit your gears, not a good idea. Make sure you get them the right way around. So on every drain plug and fill plug, we replace the washers every time. Quite often replace the actual plug itself if it's particularly seized or difficult to get off, rounded out, etc. Look at that. Wow. So I'm just filling up the rear diff. You want to fill it until it starts trickling out. As soon as it's like just a very thin, steady stream and then starts dripping, that's when I normally chuck the plug back in. Something like that. Okay, so once I've done all the oils, I'll just take a minute to go through the car, check everything that I can. Brake lines, suspension components, boot, CV joints, all that sort of stuff. Just so that we can notify the customer of any issues that we do find. So a couple of common things are, and this one's actually got it, is sump leaks. They can leak from a sump, quite common. The front camber bolts that go from the shock to the hub, if the arrows mismatch either side, it can cause issues with the geo. General underbody corrosion, they're quite bad for, so subframes can be quite bad, front and rear. Same thing with the camber bolts and toe bolts in the rear. They can be corroded and seized, which we'll normally advise the customer and let them know, because chances are they'll want a geo at some point. So on these bolts, one right at the top here, you can see there's a tiny little arrow which is on the left hand side, so pointing towards the inside of the car, and that's the way they should be, and they should both be facing that same way. If they're not, then geometry will be slightly out. So during the service, we check all 4 tyres, check the tread, check the condition. Obviously your legal limit's 1.6. You can tell you've got the little lobes inside the tyre tread. Try not to wear them down to that point, it's not ideal, but that is your legal limit. So I'm just going to go around the car, check the wheel bearings, check it for any knocks or bangs. I didn't hear anything in the road test, so it should be okay, but I'm good to double check. So I'm just checking the condition of the brakes, so just visually inspecting the discs and the pads and the lines, which I did when I was underneath the car. There's no cracks, the edge has virtually no lip whatsoever, so they're pretty new. And then I'm just going to check the pads, the thickness of the pads. You can see they're pretty good. And they're probably about 8mm or so. So the lip on the disc, you'll see essentially where the pad grabs the disc. You'll get a lip around the edge where it's not wearing away the disc essentially. And we measure the disc and we know how worn it is. So load the car down, first things first, just top up the engine oil. Normally roughly about 5 litres, give or take. So I normally put 4 or so in, start the car, get it through the oil pump, through the filter, stop the car, check the oil again. So I've ran the engine up, and just double checking level, and then top it up if needs be. And then we've just got the pollen filter to do in the service book. So I'm putting the coil packs. In every service we check the plugs, replace them if need be. 16mm. I'm going to be putting a new set of plugs in this car. You can see the yellowness up near the ceramic just there. A little bit white, obviously it'll be okay, but you know, these are performance cars, so we like to look after them, so we're going to have another set. Okay, so always come to this last, the pollen filter. Just impossible to get in and do it on the ramp, with the ramp there to get the door open. First you've got to remove the glove box. Quite easy, just pull like that. And just in here, this is where your pollen filter lives. 2 little tabs either side. there and there. See airflow is down. So direction to take it out, you just got to remember which way around it goes. So airflow down on this one. Same filter, straight in, just like that. Cover back on, easy as that. So we're out on the last test drive after the service. We're just going to check for any noises again, should be fine. Check that no lights come on, get it back in the workshop and sign it off really. So that's it for the Evo 10 service. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the small details of what goes on. If you've got any questions about this one, put it in the comment. We'll try and answer them. And if you've got any inquiries, give the office a call and we'll get you booked in. See you on the next one.